it's like, what is the most important job in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Parenting.
Being a parent.
And teaching and childcare. Anything that has to do with mentoring children and guiding children is the most important job in the world.
And
often,
I would say the most difficult one, because we are dealing with a human being, right?
Yes, and often the lowest paid, the most important job. And I know that when I was getting my teaching credentials, we loved working with the curriculum, but we were all scared to death. What are we going to do with the behavior? We did not know what to do when a child misbehaves. And that is also one of the reasons that so many teachers are quitting the profession, or because it can be hard. But I would have just loved having these tools. And when I was going through my teaching experience, and the thing is that that's why we don't tell people what not to do unless we give them lots of tools to what to do instead. So that's what positive discipline is about. And it's based on the work of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs. And that's why it's based on a very solid foundation, a philosophy. And that philosophy includes, the basis is that people should be treated with dignity and respect, all people, including children. And that research keeps validating what they've taught. There's even so much brain research now that validates the kind of discipline that we talk about in positive discipline, which does not mean punishment. Some people think discipline means punishment, but it does not. It comes from dyscyplina, which is to teach, or a follower of truth or principle. So we just love it that the brain research keeps proving that all the tools that we teach are what help children learn the social and emotional development that we want for them. So I want to just share some of those basic principles. The primary need of all children, of all people, but we're talking about children today, is the need for belonging. It's a basic need. And belonging translates into love, or what we call in positive discipline, connection before correction. They always need to feel that sense of belonging. And the other primary need is for significance. And I think that this is where all the social emotional development skills come, is you can't give children significance, but you can help them develop it. You can give them love, but you can't give them significance. That's where they need the social emotional development to develop responsibility, capability, and what I'm going to be showing you in a little while, how important it is to contribute to society. And that it's always based on dignity and respect, both kind and firm at the same time, and that mistakes are opportunities to learn. And that the encouragement is that we're always focused on solutions. We're not looking for blame, we're not looking for punishment, we're looking, you made a mistake, what can we do to fix it? So every single tool comes back to these basic principles. So, I like to point out the no-nos is no punishment, no permissiveness, no rewards, no praise. Now that surprises some people, but there's been a lot of research that shows that children who are praised have lower self-esteem, and they're afraid to do things or try new things because they might not be able to get the praise. So no pampering, no rescuing, no punitive time out, no taking away privilege as a punishment, no bawling them out and then bailing them out. And even though this is an example of an older child, I'd like to give you an example of what I mean by no bawling them out and no bailing them out. Suppose your child loses their homework or their book bag, and they come home and they say, oh, I lost my book bag. And what do most parents do? Well, if you would be more responsible and take better care of it, then you wouldn't lose it. Now, how many times I have to tell you? And they just scold and scold and scold. And then they say, but I'm not going to buy you another one because you just need to learn, maybe that'll teach you if you just go without. But pretty soon they change their mind and they're driving them to the store to buy another one, but they're still lecturing, saying, I'll buy you another one this time, but you've got to be more responsible. I just can't believe it that you don't take better care. And so what does this teach a child? teaches them just to tune out.
That's
they
right.
know that pretty soon it'll be over, and then they'll buy them a new one. So what would a positive parent, disciplined parent do? The child comes home and says, "Oh, I lost my book bag." And the parent would just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Period. That's the hardest part, is then to just shut your mouth and not say anything more.
Yes.
And the child might say, "But aren't you going to buy me a new one?" "Well, honey, not right now. I'm sure you can solve this problem." And usually the child will look harder, or he'll figure out something else. And then later you might sit down and say, "Well, maybe you could here's some things you could do to earn money to buy a new one," in a nice, kind, and firm way, without the blame and shame.
Yes, but in those situations, parents usually feel that if they don't do something, they are bad parents. They are not helping their children in any way, but they are just, letting them be.
Exactly. But if you look at what I said, is they just don't say anything. No, you can say, "I'm sorry," which is showing empathy and is being supportive. But to not lecturing and shaming is doing something really big. And then later letting them figure out how to solve the problem is huge, because children are usually so clever. It's amazing how often they will find it if we don't jump in to rescue them. And if they don't, then you can still sit down with them and figure out, okay, what could you do to earn some money? So it's not that you don't do anything. It's just that you don't blame, and you don't shame, and you don't punish. Instead, you teach them social emotional skills. And punishment is designed to make children pay for their mistakes. But positive discipline is designed to help children learn from their mistakes. And I'd really like that to sink in, because it is so important. And one of the things is that we use a lot of curiosity questions to help children explore the consequences of their choices. Like, what happened? What do you think caused that to happen? What could you do? And I would like to give the example of, let's just say, a 3-year-old, and one of the 3-year-olds has hit, let's even take biting. That's one of the things that really bothers people, is biting. Instead of punishing that child for biting, you can take that child, and some people really have a hard time with this, but I say, take the child who did the biting first and say, what happened? Little Susie's over there crying, but you say, "Look at Susie, what do you think happened?" And he says, "Well, I bit her." "How do you think she's feeling?" "Well, sad." "And can you think of what we could do to help Susie feel better?" "I don't know." "Well, what about some ice? Do you think it would help her if we gave her some ice?" And he starts saying, "Okay." And I say, "Okay, well, let's go get some ice and let's help Susie feel better." So what you have done is helped him to see he's still not connected. His brain has not developed enough to connect it completely. For a child at that age, you want something, you can't get it, you hit, you bite, whatever. But you're teaching him so that he will help with the healing and help Susie feel better, which is a much better skill than just punishing him. Often, because developmentally in the brain is not sure of what happened anyway. So again, just because I'm so against punishment, here are the 3 R's of punishment. Children either get rebellious, they can't make me, I'll do what I want, or they go into revenge. I'll get even and hurt back, even if it hurts my future. Now here again, I'm going to skip to older children again, because the thing I've noticed a lot is there are a lot of children who are rebelling against their homework because they think their parents care more about their homework than they do about them, and that hurts. So sometimes they'll not do it, or not do it good enough to get even if it hurts their future. And I think we need to understand that. Or they retreat either into low self-esteem, where they think, I must be a bad person, or they get sneaky, I just won't get caught next time. So we always need to be looking at what is the long-term results. What are we really teaching our children? And they're different. They're all making different decisions. And I love this from Haim Kanat. When a child hits a child, we call it aggression. When an adult hits a child, we call it hostility. When an adult hits an adult, we call it assault, but when an adult hits a child, we call it discipline. You know, I like that to sink in because it's just not respectful to hit another person in the name of love. And here's one of my famous quotes from Positive Discipline. Where did we ever get the crazy idea that in order to make children do better, first we have to make them feel worse? You know, does that make any sense at all when you think about it?
No, it does not.
Because I always ask adults, how do you feel when somebody humiliates you and puts you down? You don't say thank you, that's so helpful. Children do better when they feel better, when they can access their rational brains. And are you familiar with the work of Dan Siegel?
Yes.
And see, he is one who has shown us so much about what this means, that when children feel punished, they usually go into their irrational part of their brain, not the rational part of the brain, so it's not really helping.